conversation to have. And if you have kids in the room, you might want to have them leave for this one. A group of people walk the streets in our community, selling their bodies because they say society leaves them no other choice. Investigative reporter Eric Flack listened to a sex worker talk about the sad reality of her job.
Because I make people laugh. I mean, why not? I'm a likable person, and plus with this set of racks, who wouldn't laugh?
You laugh a lot, it sounds like.
It helps me keep from crying.
Charisse Monet's tears are for her friends, Ashanti Carmen and Zoe Spears, shot and killed 2 months and 3 blocks from each other this spring along the D.C. Prince George's County line, in an area known for sex workers and the transgender women who often provide the services. Monet is one of those women, working the streets 3 nights a week, turning tricks or dates, as she calls them, around 5 times a night. In fact, that's what she was doing in the exact same area as Ashanti and Zoe when they were murdered.
So what happened to Ashanti and Zoe doesn't have you rethinking any of this?
It does. It does. And it still tells me that I still have to survive because there's no one opening the door for me. It's not sex work, it's survival work.
She calls it survival work because of the challenges she says trans women face, like finding a decent 9-to-5 job where they're accepted, and the scars many still carry from being ostracized by family and friends when they came out. Monet says there's also the high financial cost that comes with transitioning from one sex to another, which can reach into the tens of thousands of dollars. In fact, Monet didn't just do sex work to pay for her transition. She has a nearly 3-decade-long rap sheet of arrests for bad checks, stolen credit cards, and flat-out stealing.
And if someone doesn't have sympathy for you because they look at your record and say she's just a common criminal, I mean, what do you say to them?
You don't know me. You will never understand the shoes that I walk in.
And that's what makes this conversation so complicated. Look, no one is saying these women are saints, and you might not agree with the way they choose to live, but that doesn't mean their lives are worth less than yours or mine, right?
Police holding closed-door meetings this summer with leaders from the trans community to try and prevent more killings. Prince George's County Police making it clear they don't think it was who Ashanti Carmen and Zoe Spears were, but what they were doing that got them killed, telling WUSA 9 investigators have no evidence at this point that suggests these women were targeted because of their gender, noting instead that both women were engaged in commercial sex work.
Law enforcement needs to realize that it's not sex work that's the culprit here.
Charlotte Clymer of the Human Rights Campaign in Washington, D.C., says the real problem is a lack of resources and outreach to the transgender community by local, state, and federal agencies, which she says marginalizes the transgender community, increasing their vulnerability to violence and discrimination. HRC tracking the numbers, telling us 142 transgender people have been murdered nationwide since 2013, 10 this year alone, 82% women of color. Members of Washington, D.C.'s trans community holding a vigil recently to remember all the victims. Democratic presidential candidate Senator Elizabeth Warren adding her voice, tweeting, "The murder of black trans women is a crisis. We'll fight this, and we will continue to say their names." Charisse Monet telling us it was just 3 years ago she nearly became one of those names.
I was placed in a closet, and I was gagged and tied, and I was left for dead. But I didn't die.
It must have been awful.
Emotional. But ask me, did I finish working that night? I did.
Prince George's County Police have now created an LGBT outreach team. At times, they're actually patrolling with members of the transgender community to try and erase any disconnect between the two sides, and so that investigators know where to turn if Zoe and Ashanti's murders are not the last. Eric Flack, WU.